It is now my pleasure to introduce our final stop for the evening, our closing keynote. We couldn't have asked for a better duo to bring us home. I'd like to welcome our moderator, Ezra Kucharz, a graduate of Duke Medical School in 1997 and now adjunct professor at Duke University and chief business officer of DraftKings. Ezra, it's wonderful to have you. Take it away.
Hey, hi, everybody. Welcome to the big payoff, the big finish tonight. And we have a very, very special guest that needs no introducing, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. 22 seasons in Major League Baseball, 14 years with the New York Yankees, 14-time All-Star, 3-time American League MVP, a 2009 World Series champion, one of 4 players in MLB history to be a member of the 40-40 club, an Emmy Award winner, a sometime shark on Shark Tank, and the chairman and CEO of the ARod Corp since 2003. Please join me in welcoming Alex Rodriguez. Alex? Let's see. Nope. There we go. Hey, Alex. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Ezra. Good to see you, man.
Hey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right, awesome. I figure we jump right into it. What advice do you have for college athletes transitioning into a career in business? What do you think they should be doing?
Well, this is obviously a tough group. I remember when I was 18 to 22. I mean, being in college was something else. I mean, I think the answer for that would be I was just like those students there today, except when I was that age, I was in Seattle and I didn't have Coach K. I had Lou Piniella playing for the Seattle Mariners. But I think the one thing I would share is to really not just think about today. I think thinking about the 3 things that most great CEOs or leaders do is, number 1, they have a target, a goal, a crystal clear goal. I think number 2 is they build a great network, like-minded people. I always say champions spend time with champions. And number 3, they have a deadline. They create accountability. And my buddy Grant Cardone said, pressure makes diamonds. So don't be afraid of it.
Oh, that's awesome. Great advice. What was it like for you to transition from a career in professional sports to a career in business?
It's surprising, but I know how much you deal with athletes that have been converted now to business people. And there's a lot of similarities. One of the things that upsets me is when people always can be condescending towards athletes or entertainers, and they think that you can be one and not the other. I think athletes and entertainers could be the greatest business people and also can be fantastic partners, because it takes so much to play at the level that we played for so long. The commitment, the grit, the resilience, the perseverance, and the discipline, and the passion. And I think, we've done some work, offline, and I see how hard you guys work at DraftKings. You see the way we get after it at ARod Corp, and it's something that I'm really proud that I've been able to bring those virtues from the Yankee clubhouse into the ARod Corp boardroom.
So if you're a college student today, what do you think that you should be doing to have that kind of grit and resilience, what you just spoke about? What are the things you should be doing, whether you're an athlete or a student that's here, studying business or whatever?
I think for one is, understand what is your passion. I think a lot of people go through life and never really find what is their real purpose, their passion. For me, it's always been the 2 Bs, baseball and business. And I always want to give back to the community. And being someone from a man of color is I have an opportunity to be a role model for many, many millions of kids out there. And also, the son of a single mother and a father of 2 daughters. I have a great responsibility to everything we do at ARod Corp to have a double bottom line. So I would say, for one, find your passion and then start working every day towards that passion every little day, even if it's a small little step, move to those directions, and then find a circle of people that can help you, that can mentor you, and that can help you achieve your goals as well.
So it's funny when I think of you today, you're like almost like a 2-sport athlete now. You're in the media business and you're an entrepreneur. So when when former players, often choose different avenues or paths when their playing career is over, what made you want to do both those things? You're in the media business, but you're also, you're an entrepreneur that are doing amazing things.
I think for me was really thinking about going narrow and deep and not wide and shallow. I see a lot of young people. There's so many distractions and so many opportunities. I could not think about, being 22 today and coming to the ranks. It would be harder, even though there's more opportunity, there's more distractions. For me, having the two focus on the two B's, baseball and business, allowed me to go really narrow and deep. And it allowed me to understand it at a very granular, deep level. And that allowed me to go on television. And the two things I talk about on my media career is baseball and business. So a lot of this thing, Steve Jobs always talked about keep it simple and keep it fundamental. Those are the two things I've tried to do in my career.
Is there anything you learned in the dugout or on the field that is really something you've taken into the boardroom?
A lot. I mean, just competition every day. You wake up every day and you have to wake up hungry. You have to wake up like, you're 0-2 in the batter's box. You're fighting tooth and nail. I think one of the things that baseball has taught me so well, which is just like the business, not every university is like Duke, not every company is like DraftKings, and not every baseball team is like the Yankees. The truth is 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs fail in their first 2 or 3 jobs. And I think baseball being a sport of failure, if you fail 70% of the time, you end up in Cooperstown. It allowed me to understand, I really feel like I have a master's in failing. But I also have a PhD in getting back up. And I think that is the opportunity that all these young folks have, is you're going to get knocked in your butt, but make sure you get up and try again.
How do you think athletes, you're seeing there's a lot of social activism out in the world. How do you think athletes should use their platform for social change?
I think that's totally an individual's choice. I mean, you have Kaepernick and you have Michael Jordan. And you can go about it any way you want. For me, I've always wanted to lead by example and do the right things and pull people along with what's good. I mean, if I'm going to march, I'm just going to march. I'm not going to really go out and have to talk about it so much. I've always led in the clubhouse, in the boardroom, or in anything in social with my actions rather than my words.
One of the panels earlier tonight, one of the folks on it talked about baseball trying to make itself more appealing for a younger demographic. What do you think the opportunity is for baseball to engage more fans and particularly a younger demographic?
Yeah, I think a few things. Number one is more access. Ezra, we've talked about it offline. I mean, I think there's an amazing opportunity. Baseball is the ultimate content king. And the reason I say that is you play 162 games and, you can ninja, whatever they say is your negative, you can turn it into a positive. And I think what we have not seen, and it's 2021, and it's hard to believe, is we don't have access to batting cages. We don't have access to weight rooms, and we don't have access to locker rooms. And we want to see what happens after the guys go in the dugout. I want to see what they do when they drive home. I want to see them in their homes, right? I mean, and that's what young people want. I think that's an incredible opportunity. And I think technology is right at the forefront. And then obviously gaming is one that you guys are sitting right there as pioneers in the space, and you're well positioned, as well as your company has done. I think you guys are still in the very, very early stages to do some amazing things. That's why I own the stock. And I think what you guys are doing, honestly, and other companies like mine, are going to help baseball connect more, not only to the general generation, but the next generation, the youth.
Like we are definitely a company focused on product and innovation and kind of engaging fans. So if you had advice to like the students in the audience here tonight, and they want to be entrepreneurs, like what kind of advice do you specifically have for them about being an entrepreneur? It's certainly hard. Everybody sees the kind of the romantic view of, these successful companies, and they don't see, the how hard it is.
I mean, look, I've thought baseball was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life until I tried to be an entrepreneur. And, baseball came second nature. Business and being an entrepreneur is something I had to work a lot harder at. But I would say this, I would say, especially from age 20 to 30, I have a lot of young people that I mentor, and they always want to know, where should I go work? What company? They're all recruiting me. Blackstone, DraftKings, JP Morgan. And I always say this. I always say you should have 4 or 5 things that are really important to you. Number 5 or 6 should be how much they pay you. From age 20 to 30, surround yourself with the best people you can find, but more importantly, the best leader that's going to mentor you and teach you, bring you in the room. One thing is to win a world championship or to read about it. The other thing is to be a champion, and then teaching those young people how to be a champion. Teach them how to win. That's key.
If I could ask you, who do you look at as mentors for you? Like, because I think about myself, and I would not be here if I didn't have like key mentors that kind of weren't afraid to tell me, like, Ezra, you're screwing this up, keep moving. If you had a couple people that you would point to, who would those people be, if you're okay to share?
Yeah, sure, Ezra. Before I answer that, when you look at metrics and data, a lot of times you see someone who's 75 and they've kind of at the latter end of their arc, and they look back and you say, what were the metrics that most defined my championship life? You would think it would be college. You would think it would be the neighborhood they grew up in. What is most, as I found, is the 5 people you surround yourself with. You become an average of them, and those mentors that you call in tough moments, and trust me, there will be tough moments that you would not know what to do. You're going to want to pull your hair out. You have 5 phone calls. Who are those 5 people? That would determine usually how well you do in your life. And I encourage all of you listening that, for Ezra and I, mentorship has been very important. My father left when I was around 10 years old out of Miami. And I had mentors have been a big part of my life. They've been life-changing, from the Boys and Girls Club to my math teacher, Miss Morales, in 4th grade, to Eddie Rodriguez, the Boys and Girls Club, who's been there 40 years. And then in baseball, it's been Lou Piniella, Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettit. And then in the business community, it's been the Warren Buffett and Barry Sternlicht and Mark Mastros, and so on and so forth. But I am an enormous advocate of finding great mentors and really taking time with them.
That's awesome. Really, really great insight. I agree with it 100%. So when you look at the sports world, there's probably nothing hot. I used to think gambling and sports betting were like the top things, but like there's nothing hotter right now than probably the trading card industry and emerging opportunities such as NFTs. What do you think are kind of like the big trends that are coming? I know sports betting is just like you said in the early innings, but what else do you think out there? Trading cards, NFTs?
I mean, Ezra, if you look at the last 18 months, we've had a pandemic and we've had SPAC attacks. We've had Bitcoin and now NFT. It's been a remarkable year, and things are moving so fast. They've moved probably faster in the last 18 months than they have the last 18 years. It's really remarkable. NFT is really early. I think like anything else, there'll be some massive winners and a lot of losers. And I think people will go out and make the mistake, as they often do, as they see a story like, what Patrick Mahomes or Gronk, and think that every NFT is going to be like that. And I think it won't. That's a mistake. I think sometimes you have to let things settle a little bit. And again, with Bitcoin, for me, it's just too early in the game. And I never feel like I have to be the first one. I don't want to be the last, but I need to see more data and things play out a little bit.
That's awesome. So when you looked at ARod Corp, Jason kind of opened things up tonight, and he talked a little bit about a SPAC, right? So what do you think the value is of using a SPAC to develop a business, and why did you decide to use a SPAC to develop Slam Corp?
Yeah, I thought for us, the SPAC world was tailor-made for us. And that's because we have so much deal flow. And if we see 500 companies a year, 250 we're going out and hunting, and 250 were the huntees. And I think it gives us a unique opportunity where we're positioned, that our money, our capital is worth more than just the general capital. And I think for us, it's evened out the playing field. When we looked at acquiring companies and you compete against institutional investors, no one can compete. They have more money than God. But when we look at it and we even out the playing field, it's the ultimate barrier is capital. And SPAX allows us to have a blank check to go out and find a company that can be worth from $3 billion to $8 billion. You guys did a phenomenal job with yours, and it's been one of the great big successes. And the other thing that I really like, I always think about my mother who served tables at night, is democratizing investing. It always upset me. It really upsets me that the world's greatest athletes, the world's greatest actors and entertainers don't have access to the greatest deals in the world. And folks like my mother, who couldn't afford probably more than a $2,000 check, could never invest with a Warren Buffett or one of the mentors that I have or you have. And to me, that's a great opportunity to be able to bridge that. Why shouldn't great athletes have an opportunity to have the best deal flow? It shouldn't just stay over there. And then if you think about an IPO, you look at Bumble that came out a few months ago. By the time it got to the market, it was already double.
Yeah.
But with you, I could have bought your stock for 10 and it's gone over, $65. And my mother could have bought that. And that's the one thing that I like about SPAX. It allows everybody to play ball.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting process, and it's something that I feel the same way. It gets a lot of people access that probably wouldn't have access. So when you think about when you started ARod Corp, I think in 2003, did you think you'd be where you are today? It's 18 years later.
No.
What did you think you'd be doing with the ARod Corp?
I never thought we would be a company that has gone over $2 billion. I never thought that I really feel that in the next 5 to 7 years, we should be a company that should be at $10 billion and could go public if we wanted to. I never thought, Ezra, that when I ended up hitting 696 home runs, when I hit my first home run, if you asked me then and you said, you can end up with 50 or 100, I would have signed a contract right there and said, I'll take it. I'm good. Right. And what you learn is that when you have incredible passion and focus and resilience, and you're too dumb to give up. I'm a little bit like Rocky, when Rocky just kept getting crushed by the Russian, he just keeps getting back up. When I saw that movie, like many of you, maybe you guys are all too young men and women that remember Rocky, but I know, Ezra, you and I'm sure that movie was big in your childhood.
It was.
But it resonated with me, right? Because I just never wanted to give up. And I remember when what's his name? The guy that fought Rocky?
Drago?
Yeah, Apollo. When Apollo looked at him and Rocky was like, he thought he was done, and he looked up and you saw his face and Apollo put his head down. Like that's the thing you want to have as an entrepreneur, just never give up.
So earlier tonight, we talked a little bit about women in sports. I think you have a couple daughters. I have a daughter, and I always try to make sure that she's given the same or similar access that others around her would. How do you look at kind of what's happening in the sports world and getting women the similar access to probably things that you and I have, and or maybe earlier in our careers?
I think is a must. I think is a tragedy that in 2021 we're still having these conversations. One of the big things that I believe in is equality. And in my company at ARod Corp, about 75 to 80% of my senior management team are women and the partners, and they're paid much better than the men. And I'm very proud of that because, for me, what fuels me is my mom, right? And I didn't think my mom had those opportunities. And when I teach my daughters, I teach them to go for number one, be the CEO. Why not the president, right? And those are things that are important to speak about. But as leaders like you and I are, I think it's important to take action and really lead by example, because it's something that can't go on much longer.
So last question, and I'm going to turn it back over to Brian, and really appreciate you joining us tonight. This has been fantastic. But if you, if there was one last piece of advice for, there's close to 400 people listening to us right now. What's the one last thing? I know we've touched on this a couple times, so I probably have asked this a couple times already, but what's the one last piece of advice? And then we'll turn it over to Brian.
Yeah, I'll end by let me see. I would just say this. You know, we live in a world of more than 50% of the kids out there. There's more kids playing esports than they're playing physical sports. I think it's important to stay healthy, both physically and mentally. I would say John Maxwell said a lot of people can communicate, but very few can connect. And I would just say, if you're a young student out there, your ability to storytell, your ability to connect with people will be the greatest gift you can give to those around you.
Well, Alex, thank you so much. Really, really great discussion here. At this point, I think I'm turning it over. Thank you again for joining. I'm turning it over to Brian. You out there? There we go. Thanks again, Alex.
You bet.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank both of you, and also want to invite Miles and Harrison onto the screen as well. Really appreciate everyone staying in here tonight. And I definitely want to thank all the speakers, all the alumni and departmental people that have been involved with our different advisory boards, as well as all the departmental and student organizations at Duke that have really helped this event come together, including Student Affairs, the Office of Undergraduate Education, Duke Athletics, the Alumni Association, the Career Center, Demon, University Communications, Duke Physical Education and Wellness, the Mary Lou Williams Center for Black Culture, the Cultural Anthropology, MMS, and I&E departments, Duke Kucharz University, and so many others that have worked with us over the last few months to put all this event together. We would not be here tonight without all of your guidance and support, and we really appreciate everything that you have done to bring us to this point.
We would also like to thank everyone backstage, including Eric Kohler and Ali Shumar from UCAE, and most importantly, everyone in the audience for attending tonight. We hope this conference really helps you provide a deeper understanding of the various paths into the sports industry as you explore your future careers.
Thanks again for joining us. Please share your feedback on the event. Stay tuned on our website and social media for updates about upcoming events in the future. Stay safe and have a great night. Thank you so much.